Well, the confirmation hearings will either see nominees approved or rejected for the roles the president-elect has nominated them for. But just how likely is it that senators will actually vote against cabinet picks?
Given that it's his party that controls the Senate, it's fairly unlikely that any of them will be voted against. If it looks like they're likely to go for a defeat, they would likely follow the path of former Representative Gaetz and withdraw before it became an issue.
Okay, and on another note, it has been revealed President-elect Donald Trump would have been convicted of illegally trying to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election, which of course he lost, if he had not successfully been re-elected in 2024. It is quite astounding to think just how much was on the line for Donald Trump had he not won the 2024 election.
Well, on one hand, we shouldn't be surprised that the prosecutor was very confident that the prosecution would win. You have to have a high degree of confidence before you're going to bring a case before a court to begin with. That said, a lot of neutral observers felt that this, along with the case in Florida regarding the classified documents, were the more serious of the cases facing Trump and the ones where he faced the greatest peril. A lot of critics of the Biden administration said that he waited too long to bring these charges, and that we didn't see them coming out until after President Trump really had begun his run for office, really put a timer on these events, and his successful victory does seem to have sprung him out of the proverbial jail.
On another note, we are told a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is getting close. Is there a sense, I guess, of optimism perhaps around this in Washington?
I think there is a sense of cautious optimism around this. In some ways, part of that optimism is rooted in the echoes we see between this potential ceasefire coming right at the change of the administration and how that resembles the release of the hostages we saw in 1980 and the change between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. We could see potentially similar political fallout play out here in the US. But I think it also more generally sort of reinforces the emerging comparison we see between the Biden administration and the Carter administration, heightened, of course, by the recent passing of the former president.
Okay, certainly. And what do you think this might have in terms of implications or, I guess, pressures on the incoming Trump administration?
It is fairly customary for the president and his allies to try to arrange a number of early victories as the president comes into office. The first 100 days of any president's term is considered to be a pretty critical phase for getting parts of their agenda moving. Presidents have a fairly short window for making changes in Congress before the Congress itself begins to get bogged down by midterm elections. And if a president doesn't make much headway over the next, 50 to 100 days, there's a large question about whether or not he'll be able to accomplish a lot of the things he promised he would do during the election. So pushing this forward now would be an early win, which can give him momentum and help him in other areas that he hopes to advance the policy.
Okay, Dr. Schoettmer, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Of course.